Hey everyone, Cap here. Time for the monthly Army story. The deal with Army stories is, first, they're my stories. They all have to be true. Secondly, I have to have been a direct participant or witness to what took place. Third, nobody gets wounded. They're all just fun stories about what guys do when they live together in a barracks or they're on deployment and the stupid stuff that we get into with each other. So, get your canteen cup full of water, get on your tanker's roll, and Eddie's the noise. Story time. Okay, so this is really my only story from basic training or AIT. So, when I was in the Army, I was a 12 Bravo, a combat engineer. And so that school is at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, or at least it used to be. And when I went through, it was 5 weeks. When you start individual advanced school, which is neither individual nor advanced, it's really just an extension of basic training, you suddenly find yourself with weekends off. Maybe you work a partial Saturday, but then the day is over, and the drill sergeant, and you still have drill sergeants, and you still find yourself getting smoked in a sawdust pit someplace occasionally. Your drill sergeants tell you, hey, we're done, you're released for the weekend. These are your options. You can stay in the company area and use the mess hall. You can put on your Class B uniform, which is your dress uniform minus the jacket, and you can go to the rec center or the enlisted club. On Fort Leonard Wood, on the other side of Iowa Avenue from the trainee barracks, there was what was called Phone City because there were no cell phones yet. And there was what was referred to as the AAFES Choke and Puke. AAFES is the Army and Air Force Exchange Service. And the Choke and Puke was a burger shop for the trainees. It really wasn't bad, but they were greasy burgers. And if you ate that kind of stuff on Sunday, Monday morning at PT, you were going to be kind of nauseous because your stomach was going to be full of grease. You also had the option of putting on your Class A uniform and getting a taxi or getting on a bus and going into town. Civilian clothes were not authorized. And so that was great, but you had to be back by 9 p.m. or as one of my first sergeants used to say, 2100 National Guard time. So on a particular Sunday night, one of the guys from my 8-man room came back and he'd gone out, and because he was 21, he was not simply drunk, he was hammered. And he was loud and he was obnoxious while signing back into the company at the CQ office. So the CQ office, which is the office for the drill sergeant who's in charge of quarters after duty hours, he's the commander's representative for the night, was a young guy. He was an E5, a buck sergeant, and I think it was his first cycle as a drill sergeant, which may or may not have played into what took place. Anyway, dude comes back from his weekend pass, and he acts the fool standing in line waiting to sign back in. Drill sergeant's trying to field a phone call. Gets pissed off and slams the CQ office door. Trainee, my roommate, is leaning against the door jamb, and the drill sergeant didn't see that he had his pinky finger in the door jamb. So the door slams on the guy's finger and splits the finger open like a hot dog on a grill. Shit show ensues. We had to call the military police, and we had to call an ambulance. Finally, they get this guy loaded in the ambulance. Ambulance takes off, MPs take statements, whatever. Dude comes back from the hospital. Well, not only is his finger stitched up, his forehead is stitched up. Like, bro, what's with your forehead? So he looks at us and he says, well, see, what happened was blah, blah, blah with the finger, which we all knew about because we saw it happen. Well, they get to Leonard Wood Army Community Hospital. They sit him on a steel exam table. And the enlisted medic comes in his hospital whites and looks at the finger, and he goes, "Oh, let me take a look at that." And he starts to squeeze it to see how deep the skin is split and if he's got to do internal stitches as well as external. Well, just as he starts to squeeze the finger, this kid's liver processes enough alcohol that the pain makes it into his otherwise empty head. It registers and he passes out. And he hits his head on the corner of the table. And so not only was his finger stitched up, but he ended up with like 6 stitches in his forehead. So remember, nothing good happens when you get tanked up. Well, not to you anyway. I got a cool story out of it for 30 some years. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.